Thursday night began the way most did. Myra moved through the kitchen with purpose, a crimson coat draped over her shoulders, tucking her phone into her bag. "It's a goodbye thing for someone at work. Rook and Rye," she tossed over her shoulder, barely glancing my way as she fixed her earrings using the microwave's reflection. "Who's going?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light. She paused, hand hovering near her ear. The look she shot me wasn't angry. It was cooler than that, like my question itself was a breach of some unspoken rule. "It's just work, Jeremy. Does it matter?" I gave a short nod, feigning indifference, and stepped aside to let her pass. She walked out without a kiss, the door clicking shut behind her. Soft, almost gentle. But the quiet that followed rang louder than any argument ever could. I sat in front of the TV, its dim light flickering across the walls, though I wasn't really watching anything. The hours slipped by, 10, then 11, while that familiar weight pressed down on my chest, the kind that brings with it a slow replay of things you didn't want to notice. Late nights, unexplained errands, the phone that never left her hand. At 11:26 p.m., my phone buzzed. Caleb Martin, my oldest friend. His message was short. "Don't want to be in the middle of this, but I just saw Myra. She wasn't alone." Attached was a photo, grainy, poor lighting, but unmistakable. Myra, no coat now, seated across from a man in a navy blazer at a rooftop bar. Her body leaned toward him. His hand rested near hers, too close, too familiar. Caleb sent one more message. "Donald Cross." I stared at the image. No explosion of rage, no smashing things, just a still, quiet shift. I got up, walked to the front door, and locked it. Deadbolt first, then the secondary, then activated vacation mode on the smart lock. I returned to the table, opened a blank note on my phone, and began to type. What time she left, what she told me, where she was now. Each detail logged, not out of spite, but for clarity. That was the final evening I lived as her husband. At 1:03 a.m., headlights swept shadows across the living room. A door shut. Heels clicked on the front steps. Then the keypad chimed. 3 beeps. Denied. A pause, then knocking. "Jeremy?" Myra's voice cut through the door. Sharp, not scared, annoyed. "Why is it locked?" I didn't answer. From the hallway, I watched the cool blue ring of the smart lock pulse in silence. The knocking grew louder. Then my phone lit up. Incoming call, Myra. I let it ring twice before picking up. "What are you doing?" she snapped. "It's freezing. Open the door." "Not tonight, Myra." I said it evenly. What does that even mean? I didn't explain. I just ended the call. The knocks came again, harder now. "Jeremy, stop. Don't be ridiculous." Then softer. "Come on, babe. Let's not make this a thing. You're blowing it out of proportion." Another buzz, then a flurry of texts. "Why's the door locked?" "Seriously? This isn't funny." "Open the door." I sat at the kitchen table, still writing notes. 1:12 a.m. Tone shifts. 1:14 a.m. 3 texts in under a minute. She called again. I picked up, said nothing. "If this is about tonight," she said, "you're twisting it into something it's not." I let the silence stretch between us. She always hated silence more than shouting. Eventually, I spoke. "Go home, Myra." "This is my home," she yelled. Her voice pierced the air between us, even through the door. I hung up again. For 10 more minutes, she cycled through every emotion, frustrated, pleading, furious. But no matter the tone, the door remained locked, the silence unbroken. She kicked the bottom panel. "You want the neighbors to hear this? That what you want?" Still, I stayed still. Didn't yell, didn't move, just typed. Eventually, the calls stopped. For a brief moment, I thought maybe she'd gone. But something told me the night was far from done. At 1:41 a.m., I heard it. A car engine idling at the curb. Not her car. A man's voice drifted up the steps, deep and calm. You sure you're okay out here? I froze, just around the hallway corner. I'm fine, Myra hissed. Just go. Donald Cross. I'd only seen him in Caleb's photo, but his voice carried an ease like he'd been around before. You don't seem fine, he said. Want me to wait? I said I've got it, she snapped. A moment of quiet. Then the soft sound of a car door closing. The engine rumbled to life and crept slowly down the street. Myra pivoted toward the house, her heels clicking sharply against the porch boards. She knocked again, this time louder, frustration edging into fury. Jeremy, open the door! Enough of this! The tiny light of the doorbell camera blinked on, quietly recording everything. After a moment, she stepped off the porch, and I heard the side gate give a low groan as it opened. I moved fast but silent, heading to the rear of the house. Peering through the blinds, I caught her outline as she approached the sliding glass door. She tested the handle, once, then again, pressing against the glass. Locked. She hesitated there, holding up her phone like a torch, the screen casting faint light on her face. Her posture stiffened, her breath fogging the glass. Then she turned on her heel and marched back to the front. I moved to the living room, pressing my back against the wall just beside the front door. Her knocks came again, quicker this time, urgent. Then her voice pierced the night. Jeremy, this is ridiculous. You're making a scene. You're humiliating yourself. I let her words hang in the silence. My heartbeat had evened out, like I had detached from my body. I wasn't reacting anymore. I was just watching. Then I spoke, steady and loud enough to be heard through the door. You weren't scared until you lost control. The knocking ceased. I could almost see her face in that instant, caught between confusion and something close to fear. But I didn't check. I turned away, walked back to the kitchen table, and noted the time in my phone. The house fell silent again. Not calm, never calm, but quiet, like the moment before thunder. By 3 a.m., the street outside was deserted. I finally rose, stretched the stiffness out of my limbs, and cracked the front door open. Stuck between the screen door slats was a business card. I pulled it free and turned it over. Family law, divorce, and custody. No message, no explanation, just a name, a number, and the unspoken weight of intent. I closed the door and slid the bolts back into place. She hadn't panicked when I left her outside. She'd expected it, planned for it. I walked to the shared laptop we still used for bills and opened it. Same login, same cloud storage. She always forgot I still had access. In her sent emails, I found one forwarded to her personal inbox less than an hour ago. Subject, documentation for emergency access. I clicked it open. There were photos. Our front door, the side gate, the rear sliding door. A long note followed, written in her own voice. Jeremy is emotionally unstable. He locked me out of the house. I fear for my safety. No reaction. My pulse stayed flat. My fingers didn't tremble. I saved the email as a PDF, downloaded the photos, and backed everything up onto a flash drive I kept in my desk. Then I leaned back in my chair, eyes fixed on the low glow of the screen. This wasn't about love anymore. This was a play, a script, a move to cast me as dangerous, volatile, so she could take control of the narrative before anyone thought to ask questions. But I hadn't given her the story she wanted. No shouting, no threats, no violence, just a locked door and silence. I shut the laptop and returned to the couch. The storm hadn't ended. It had only begun to shift. At 7:15 a.m., my phone buzzed with a security alert. The doorbell camera had detected movement. I tapped the notification. There she was, Myra in the same red coat, her phone pressed to her ear. She rang the bell once, then took a step back, still talking. She didn't know the mic was active. Yeah, he's inside, she said casually, pausing to chew something. No, I haven't filed yet. But if he fights it, I will today. I've already laid the groundwork. My stomach clenched, but I didn't move. You think they'll believe it? She asked. Then came a soft, knowing laugh. They always believe it. Once this is done, I'm done pretending to be the sainted wife. Donald and I can finally stop sneaking around. The call ended. She gave a faint, satisfied smile at the camera, at me, and turned to leave. I watched the clip again. Then I saved it to 3 separate drives. 30 minutes later, a new email hit my inbox from Human Resources. Subject: Concern regarding recent report on your emotional well-being. I read it twice. She had already reached my job. She'd sown the groundwork there too. The email came across as courteous and measured, checking in to see if I needed any help or resources. I replied briefly, "Thank you for reaching out. I'm currently navigating a difficult separation. Here's a short clip that gives some context." I included an audio recording, her voice, cool and dismissive. "I already planted enough. Think they'll believe it?" My response wasn't laced with anger or blame, just clarity. Not 10 minutes later, my direct manager called. His tone was calm but assured. "Jeremy, I heard the clip. Just know, we're behind you." I sat there at the kitchen table, the phone against my ear, struck by how rare it felt to be believed. It wasn't about patching up a failing marriage anymore. It was about surviving the narrative she was determined to cast me into. By midday, the fallout had spilled onto social media. My phone kept buzzing, old friends forwarding screenshots of Myra's latest Instagram story, a low-lit selfie in her car, eyes puffy and red with the caption, "Locked out of my own home, isolated, mentally abused." Sometimes the quietest men carry the darkest demons. The comments were exactly what you'd expect. "Stay strong. You deserve more." Emojis floated in like confetti. Hearts, teardrops, broken hearts. I didn't post a word in response. Then the calls started again. 10 missed in 30 minutes. The texts followed. "We need to talk. Please, Jeremy, don't throw this away over nothing. Let's fix this." At 1:10 p.m., I finally picked up. "Neutral ground, public place, Miller's Diner, 30 minutes. She hesitated. "You're being dramatic." "Those are the terms," I said, and ended the call. By 1:42, she was sliding into the booth across from me, eyes wide, like she expected me to fold first. "Jeremy," she began, voice low. "It wasn't what it looked like. You're twisting this. Donald's just a friend. It was a work thing." I placed my phone face up on the table. The screen showed a paused video. Donald's voice on my porch, asking her if she was coming back with him. I didn't need to play it. The image alone said enough. She froze, just slightly. "That doesn't prove anything." I leaned in. "We're separating. You'll come by tomorrow at 7. You'll have 30 minutes to collect your things. I'll have a neighbor present. No surprises, no late visits. From now on, we communicate through email only." Her eyes scanned my face, searching for any crack, any hesitation. "You're tearing us apart." I leaned back, calm. "No, Myra, you already did." And for the first time in what felt like forever, the silence wasn't hers to control. It belonged to me. The next evening, at exactly 7 a.m., Myra arrived. She wore a brittle smile, one that didn't quite reach her eyes. Patricia, our neighbor from a few houses down, stood at the doorway, silent, neutral. "I can't believe it's come to this," Myra muttered as she stepped inside. "You've got 30 minutes, I told her. "Take what you need." She glanced at Patricia, maybe hoping for some kind of solidarity. But Patricia kept her eyes ahead and said nothing. Myra disappeared into the hallway, the sound of her heels echoing against the hardwood. I stayed near the door, arms folded, keeping time. When she reappeared, her suitcase looked heavier. She paused in front of me. "This isn't who you are," she said. I met her gaze. "It's exactly who I should have been a long time ago." She rolled the suitcase past me, chin high like she still held the upper hand. She didn't say another word as she walked down the steps. 10 minutes later, a text came through. "You twisted this. You made me the villain. I never wanted it to get this far. I read it once, archived it. At 9:46 p.m., I submitted the online paperwork for a legal separation. 2 days later, a certified envelope was sent with her official copy. Within a week, with court approval, the locks were changed. She had tried to craft a story with herself as the victim, but now all that remained was a version backed by recordings, timestamps, and her own words. I wasn't going to let her rewrite it. 6 months on, the house finally felt like mine again. No weight in the air, no unfamiliar shoes by the door, no strained silences pressing in during the evenings. I'd built new routines. Early runs before sunrise, long work days without that creeping anxiety. Weekends spent restoring that old oak desk I'd rescued from someone's curb. Simple things. But they were mine, and word had gotten around. Donald was no longer part of the equation, and Myra had settled into a leased place on the opposite side of town. Whatever chaos she was tangled up in now, it wasn't my responsibility to untangle. A soft vibration came from the phone on the counter. Just a reminder email from my attorney about the last round of documents. I filled a mug with coffee, took a seat at the kitchen table, and pushed open the window. The quiet that settled in felt unfamiliar. It wasn't strained or looming anymore, just still, completely mine. For the first time in what felt like forever, I wasn't expecting footsteps at the door. And that was the true release. Not slamming the door to keep anyone out, but closing it gently to preserve the calm I'd finally